Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto was a Dino Thunder Ninja. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Team 7 had just completed their first mission and were on their way back to report to the Hokage. When something caught Sakura's attention on the forest floor, she told her teammate Sasuke and her mentor Kakashi that she saw something down on the ground. They turned back to where Sakura saw the thing and dropped to the ground and saw it was a boy about Sakura and Sasuke's age, dressed in some strange cloths they never seen before. But what they drew their attention was the silver bracelet on the boy's left arm that had a black gem on it. Kakashi felt it was given off a huge amount of power. Sakura said, "What should we do with him, Kakashi-sensei? He looks bad. We should take him back to the village and get him some medical help." Whatever, Sasuke said he was more interested in the black gem on the bracelet. So Kakashi picked the boy up and him and Team 7 headed full speed back to the village. When they got there, they dropped the boy off at Kano Hospital. Sakura decided to stay behind to watch the boy, while Kakashi and Sasuke went to report to the Hokage to tell him how the mission went and also tell him about the strange boy they found. The third Hokage was listening to the report that Kakashi told him about the strange boy they found in the forest and about the black gem that was given off a lot of power. The third Hokage dismissed Kakashi, then called a nurse and told him he wanted to speak to the boy when he woke up. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Tommy was just coming to. He felt like had he been fighting a lot of Tyranno-drones and Mesogog. Tommy was accepting Haley or his students yelling at him for being reckless. But when he was fully awake, he found himself in a hospital room he had never seen before. Just then a nurse came in and said, "How is our young patient doing?" Tommy replied, "What do you mean young?" Tommy then closed his mouth when he realized he sounded like a kid. Then he looked at himself and saw he was in his 12-year-old body. Tommy asked the nurse where he was. She said, "You are in Kano, the village hidden in the leaves." Just then a pink-haired girl that looked like the same age as he was came in and said, "So you are finally awake." The nurse said, "I have to tell the Hokage you are awake so he can talk to." When the nurse left, the girl said, "My name is Sakura Haruno. What is your name?" Tommy said, "My name is Tommy Oliver." Tommy thought the girl was very pretty but didn't tell her anything more because he did not trusted her very much. Just then a old man came and told Sakura to left so he could talk to Tommy. The third Hokage looked at Tommy and saw that he looked like he was older than he looked and fought a lot of tough battles. The Hokage asked Tommy who he was and where he came from. Ranger instinct told Tommy that he could trust the Hokage. So Tommy told the Hokage about the Dino gems, his past as a Power Ranger, Mesogog's plan to destroy him and his rangers that backfired, and how his dead mentor Zordon voice telling him how he was needed in another world, and finally how he woke up where he was. The third Hokage couldn't believe the story the kid was telling him and asked Tommy to prove it. Tommy said he would show the Hokage only if he promised to keep his secret from others. The Hokage agreed and Tommy saw the Hokage do some very fast hand size and the room glowed blue. The Hokage said no one will able be to see or hear them. Tommy saw the Hokage was telling the truth and then called out his Moprar and said, "Dino Thunder, power up." There was a flash of light, and when it died out, the Hokage looked, and in place where Tommy stood was a tall figure in black with a helmet with a strange animal on it, and the same animal was on the staff on the left hip. The Hokage was amazed. He had never seen anything like it before. Then the person said in an adult voice, "Power down," and Tommy stood where the figure once stood. The Hokage could sense that Tommy had a lot of chakra and thought he would make an excellent ninja. "So Tommy, since you have no home to go to and with your history and skills as a Power Ranger, I was wondering if you would like to become a ninja of the village and protect it," said Lord Hokage. He went on to tell Tommy about chakra, ninjutsu, genjutsu, and about ninja ranks and missions and their ranks. Tommy thought about it very hard and said, "What do I have to do to become a ninja?" The Hokage was very pleased with Tommy's decision and told him to meet him at the Hokage's tower and told him how to get there. With that he left and told him he would see him in an hour. Tommy quickly put on his cloths and left the hospital and started his way to the tower. As Tommy looked around the village and saw it look very peaceful, he said out loud, "I can get used to this place." Tommy ended up lost, saw a girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. He said, "Hi, my name is Tommy, can you tell me how to get to the Hokage's tower?" The girl said the tower is right over there, she said, pointing to a tall tower. Thanks, Tommy said. Oh, by the way, the girl said, my name is Ino. Welcome to the village. With that, Tommy reached the tower and decided to use his gem power to get by the guards and surprise the Hokage. The Dino gem glowed black and gold, then Tommy became invisible. Tommy slipped past the guards and made it to the door of the Hokage's office and knocked. The Hokage heard the knock at the door and told Tommy to come in, knowing it was him. When the door opened and he saw no one, he thought it was a ghost until Tommy appeared out of thin air and laughing, saying, I got you pretty good. So I guess you were not joking about the gem giving the power of invisibility. Please sit down, Tommy. Tommy did as the Hokage told him and said so. What do I have to do to become a ninja, he said. The Hokage said, I am going to teach you some ninjutsu and genjutsu since you are already very skilled in taijutsu. The Hokage showed him the hand size for the jutsus for Tommy's test and told him how to use chakra. After only an hour, Tommy had mastered all the jutsu all on the first try, even the shadow clone jutsu. Lord Hokage was very pleased with Tommy and took out a headband and gave it to Tommy. Tommy was very pleased and told the Hokage thanks. Now Tommy, since you are now a leaf ninja, you will be starting as a genin and place on Team 7. Who you will meet tomorrow morning. The Hokage then give Tommy a card with the crest of the Hokage. Tommy used that to buy everything you need, weapons, cloths, and food. Don't worry about paying me back. Consider it a gift, and here is the address of the place you will be living. Thanks for everything, Lord Hokage, Tommy said. He bowed and left to buy the stuff he need. Tommy quickly found the shopping district. But before he could go into the store, he bumped right into Sakura. Watch where you are going, jerk, said Sakura. Sorry, I should be more careful where I am going. Sakura looked up and realized it was the boy Tommy. Sakura quickly said it's okay and tried to hide the blush on her face. She then saw the headband around his arm and said, you are ninja now, aren't you? Tommy replied, yeah, I am. The Hokage taught a lot of jutsu and made a ninja. So what team are you on now? Said Sakura. I was placed on Team 7. That's my team I am on, so we're going to be teammates. I guess we are, Tommy said with a blush. Hey, spoken of which, can you help with my shopping? I am trying to get some supplies. Sure, said Sakura. Inner Sakura said, I can't believe he's on my team, he is way cuter than Sasuke. Sakura then took Tommy's hand and took him to the clothing store. A woman asked, can I help you, sir? Can you tell me where the men's cloths are, please? The women showed him where the cloths are. After looking through them, Tommy went into the dressing and came out wearing a black t-shirt with a silver wolf on it, black pants with red flames on them, and a jacket with flames on the tail, and a green dragon and white tiger on the bave was a yin and yang symbol. How do I look? You look like a ninja, said Sakura. The last store they went to was the weapons store. A girl named Tenten said, can I help you? Sakura said, Tenten, this is Tommy Oliver, he is my new teammate and he needs some weapons. Tenten give Tommy some kuni knives, paper bombs, and a giant shuriken. Will there be anything else? Tommy saw a samurai sword that had a gold dragon head hilt encrusted with gems. Tommy said, I like to see that sword, please. Tenten took the sword off the display and gave it to Tommy, who took the sword out of the sword holder and saw the blade had flames on it with a picture of a dragon and tiger. Tommy said he would take it since he knew how to weld a sword. Tenten added the sword to the toll. When all of a sudden Tommy was drawn to a corner of the store and saw a weapon that he thought he would never see again. Staring back at him was the dragon dagger he once used when he was the Green Ranger. Tommy asked, where did you obtain this weapon from? Tenten saw that Tommy was staring at the dagger. My father found a long time ago in the forest. We try many times to sell it, but no one would buy for some reason, said Tenten. I take it. It might come in handy. With that, Tommy took the dragon dagger and put with everything else. Tenten told everything up and Tommy give her the card the Hokage gave him. They then left the store and Tenten went to tell her father that she finally sold the strange dagger. Tommy and Sakura went walking down the street and Tommy showed her the address of the place where he was going to be living at. That place is right next to my house, she said. She then dragged Tommy to her house and showed him the house next to hers. That's the place you will be staying. Good night, Tommy, and see you in the morning. Good night, Sakura, and thanks for everything, and he gave her kiss good night and went inside his new home. Sakura stood there in shock for a moment, and when she came to her senses, she rubbed her cheek and blushed and said to herself, "The most handsome guy, just give me a kiss." Meanwhile, Tommy could not just believe he had kissed very pretty girl on the cheek. He finally got over the shock and decided to call it a night. He went up the stairs to his bedroom and put his stuff away and went to bed. Tommy had many questions to think about, like how he got here, how he was still able to morph, how he ended up as a 12-year-old kid, and how the dragon dagger came here. After a half an hour he went to sleep. When morning came, Tommy quickly got up, got dressed and eat his breakfast really quick. Then he ran out the door and ran as fast as possible to the training ground where he would meet the rest of Team 7. When he got there he saw Sakura with a boy about his age who looked like he had a bad attitude. Sakura saw Tommy and said, "Hey, over here." Tommy ran over and said, "Hey, Sakura." "Tommy, this Sasuke," pointing to the boy. "Nice to meet you, my name is Tommy Oliver." "Whatever you say," replied Sasuke. Sakura started to yell at Sasuke for being rude and give him a smack over the head, sending him to the ground. "Sorry for Sasuke being rude. It's okay, Sakura." Tommy thought Sasuke reminded him of the Quantum Ranger Eric Myers. "So where is our teacher?" Tommy said. As soon as he said that, a wind of leaves came and left a guy with silver hair wearing mask and with one part of his headband over his left eye. Most people would say he was laid back with his face in a book, but years of being a Power Ranger told Tommy that this guy was a warrior who had seen a lot of battles. "So you must be my new student, Tommy Oliver. The name's Kakashi. Tell me where you from and what are your goals?" "From a place far away where I was trained to protect myself. And goals are to protect this village with my life and be the best ninja there is." Kakashi felt his new student was hiding something and that Tommy had seen more battles than him. Kakashi asked the Hokage about Tommy when he learned that he was going to be the third member of his team, but the Hokage told him that Tommy had just got lost and passed out from walking too long trying to find the village so he could become a ninja. Kakashi took the Hokage word but thought he was not telling him the whole story. "Okay, today team, we have an important mission to complete." "Okay." The mission was to catch some lady's cat. It took Team 7 about 2 hours, but in the end Tommy ended up catching the cat. "Way to go, Tommy," said Sakura, happy that Tommy was the one to catch it on his first mission. "Hey new guy, how did you ended up doing it?" said Sasuke. "I guess I am kind of a cat person," said Tommy. "You're hiding something and I do not trust you that must." Sasuke, leave Tommy alone. "You're upset because you could not catch it." With that, Sakura pounded Sasuke to the ground. "Hey you guys, stop agurring and just be glad the mission done." "And Tommy, good work completing the mission," said Kakashi. "Thanks a lot, Kakashi-sensei," said Tommy. With that, Team 7 went to the Hokage Tower to get their next mission. Tommy thought to himself, good thing no one saw me use my Dino gem powers to catch the cat. When they reached the tower, the lady took the cat and hugged it tighty and paid the Hokage and left. "Good work, the next mission you will get will be." "Enough of these stupid missions," said Sasuke. "Can you just give us a real ninja mission?" "Sasuke will need to mind your manners," said Kakashi. Tommy was glad that his new sensei had shut Sasuke up. "I was going to say you were going to be picking up the streets, but since you insist, how about a C-rank mission instead?" "What do you think, Kakashi?" "I think it will help my team build teamwork." "That settles it. The mission will be to escort the bridge builder Tazuna in." With that, a man came me who happened to be drunk. "So this is the Team M that is going to escort me back to the land of waves. They're nothing but a bunch of losers." Tommy hated this guy and was about to say something when Kakashi interrupted and said, "My team is ready for anything." "If you say so," replied Tazuna. "Okay team, we leave in 2 hours. Met me at the gate." As they were all leaving, Tommy noticed a picture of blonde man who looked a little older than he used to be. He would ask Kakashi later. When Tommy got to the gates, he saw Tazuna with Sakura and Sasuke. "Hey Tommy, over here," said Sakura. "Hey, you guys look ready to go." "Yeah, you look ready for a battle," said Sasuke, looking at Tommy. "Yeah, guess I am." Tommy had his sword on his left side, his pouch of his ninja weapons on his right leg, and of course the dragon dagger on his right side as well. "Hey, where's Kakashi-sensei?" As soon Tommy said that, Kakashi showed up and said, "Okay guys, let's get the move on." About 2 miles into the mission, Tommy saw a puddle of water on the ground. Something told him it was trap set up for them. Just he was about to warn his team, 3 enemy ninja attack and hit Kakashi first. Sakura and Sasuke thought his was died, but Tommy knew he had used a Sabation jutsu. With that, Tommy leaped into action and started to use his taijutsu on the ninja. When that did not seem to work, Tommy pulled out the dragon dagger and started to play a tune on it. Sasuke thought Tommy was nuts using a dagger as a flute until green lighting came out, and before the ninja knew what hit them, they were knocked out. Sakura ran over to Tommy and said, "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" "No, I am fine," said Tommy. "Nice work," Tommy said. Kakashi as he came out of the bushes. "Kakashi sensei, we were worried about you." Kakashi explained to them he had used a subushin jutsu to sneak away so he could see how they would make out. He then to Tazuna and demand a reason to go on with this mission. Tazuna explained that his country was poor ever since a guy named Gato came and started to kill people who oppose him, and getting ninja was the only way to save them. Kakashi said, "What do you think we should do?" Team Sasuke said he would do because he did not want another boring mission. Sakura said she did it to help the people, and Tommy wanted to go the same reason as Sakura, but also to stop Gato reign of terror. With that, they went on their way to the land of waves. Meanwhile, far away, Gato was talking on his face saying, "Your ninja have failed me, Zabuza." Zabuza replied, "If it makes you happy, I will take care of the ninja that Tazuna hire myself. You have better not fail me." As Team 7 were still traveling to the land of waves, Tommy asked Kakashi about why Sasuke was always in a bad mood. Kakashi said, "You see, Tommy, Sasuke, the only member of his clan left, all the others were killed by his older brother Itachi, so he feels he needs to kill his brother to avenge his clan's death." Tommy could not believe what Kakashi had said, but knew it was true. He knew what Sasuke had lost, as he had lost everything he was supposed to protect. Tommy said, "I saw a picture of blonde guy in the Hokage office. Can you tell me who he is and what happened to him?" Kakashi stopped cold and stared into space as he decided to tell Tommy. "He was the 4th Hokage and used to be my sensei. But about 12 years ago he died trying to stop an evil traitor named Orochimaru, who happened to be one of the legendary Saiyan." Tommy said, "I think he must have been strong, wise leader to take someone on like that." That he was Tommy, said Kakashi. "I know what my goal will be now. It will to become the next Hokage and stop this Orochimaru once and for all." When Tommy said that, Kakashi could swear he saw his old sensei next to him. When he came to his senses, they had reached the dock and Kakashi told them all to get into the boat. As they were sailing to the land of waves, Sakura looked over at Tommy and thought about how he saved her and Sasuke lives against the enemy ninja. Sasuke looked at Tommy and wondered how he used the dagger to release that green lighting he saw. He had the feeling that Tommy would reveal his secrets very soon. Tazuna kept thanks them for stilling on the mission and for deciding to help his land. They then pass under the bridge and land near a port and got out of the boat. They thanked the boatman and started towards Tazuna house. Tommy keep on thinking to the night he kissed Sakura on the cheek and he relived he had fallen in love with Sakura. He had not felt this way since when he used to go out with Kat. Sakura at that moment was thinking about the kiss too and decided that when she and Tommy were alone she would ask him to be her boyfriend if he felt the same. Tommy decided when they get to Tazuna house he would take Sakura and talk to her alone and tell her everything about him, so there would be no secrets between them if they were to have any relationship. They were interrupted with a commotion in the bushes. Kakashi threw a kuni into the bushes when suddenly a white rabbit came out with the kuni in it. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief except Tommy, who knew that it was the wrong time of year for a white coat. He was about to say something when Kakashi told them to get down. All ducked just in time as a giant sword came sailing over them into a tree. When they got up, a tall man was standing up on the sword. When he said, "Ah, Kakashi the copy ninja, no wonder my ninja failed to kill Tazuna. So let me guess, you must be Zabuza, missing ninja of the village hidden in mist." "That would be right. Now that we know each other, it's time to kill all of you." "I do not think so," said Kakashi, who then slipped the left part of his headband up to relive his weapon, the Sharingan. When Tommy saw it, he knew what it was because the Hokage had told him about all the bloodlines of the village. He knew it could copy any jetsu except taijutsu. Zabuza and Kakashi started to engage each other in battle. Every time Zabuza tried to take out Kakashi, Kakashi would turn it around on him, until Kakashi lose track of him and got behind Team 7 and was about to strike when Kakashi saved them and saw it was a water clone. After another few minutes, Zabuza ends up trapping Kakashi in a bubble of water. Kakashi told them to get Tazuna out there and run for it, but Sakura said, "But what about you, Kakashi-sensei?" Tommy knew they would not run, but they were outmatched, and he knew that even his new shadow clone Jetsu could not help. Tommy knew the only way was to morph, but didn't his team to found out about his secret. But as he saw the mess they were in, Tommy decided he had no choice but to morph. "Let our sensei go or else," said Tommy. Sakura thought Tommy was being brave. But Sasuke was thinking he was stupid. Tough words for a kid. "Well, you leave me no choice," Tommy said. What happened next stunned everyone. Tommy lifted his left arm and his bracelet and gem chainage into somewhat of wrist machine in a shape of a strange animal, and all of a sudden Tommy pull out key in his right hand and said, "Dino Thunder, power up." Then there was a bright light and in Tommy place stood the black Dino Thunder Ranger. Sakura said when she saw the person in front them, said, "Tommy, is that you?" Tommy said in a now grown-up voice, "You better believe it." With that Tommy pulled out his brachio staff and said, "Wind strike," and suddenly a hurricane force wind came out and sent Zabuza flying and releasing Kakashi. Tommy looked at Kakashi and said, "What about we take him on together?" Before Zabuza knew what hit him, he was attacked by Kakashi and the morph Tommy. He did not stand a chance against both of them. Just as Kakashi was about to kill Zabuza when Zabuza was hit by needles. All of a sudden a masked ninja came out and said he was a tracking ninja whose job was to take Zabuza down. With that he took the body, but before he could leave Tommy tried to stop him, saying he was lying and working with Zabuza. But it was too late, the masked ninja was gone. Kakashi said, "How do you know Zabuza is alive?" "I read it was a tracker ninja's job to dispose of the body on sight." "Now I remember, you are right, Tommy, we need to be prepared next time." Tommy then looked at his team and said, "I guess I have some explain to do." With that Tommy said, "Power down and chainage back to his kid form." "You tell us everything when we reach Tazuna house," said Kakashi. We that Team 7 went on their way to Tazuna house, reach it in 20 minutes. When they got there, Tazuna introduced them to his daughter Tsunami and my grandson Inari. After everyone was introduced, Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 looked at Tommy and said, "Explain how you did that trick." Tommy told them the same story as he told the Hokage about the Dino Gems, his past as a Power Ranger, Mesogog's plan that backfired, how he got here, and how his old mentor Zordon told them he was needed here. After he told his story, Kakashi was stunned and surprised that this kid was used to be a man and had saved the world many times. Sasuke now had respect for Tommy and now could trust him with his life. Sakura was proud of him and now was madly in love with him. After that Kakashi told to go to bed and get ready for some training in the morning. They went to bed except Tommy, who told Sakura he wanted to talk to her. She stayed and asked, "What is you want to talk about?" Tommy had a hard time bringing up the words, but finally he said, "I have fallen in love with you, Sakura." Sakura said, "I am in love with you to ever since we met, and I do not care your past loves, Tommy. I just want to know if you would be boyfriend." "Of course I be your boyfriend, Sakura. I love you very much and will not anything happen to you." With that he kissed Sakura on the lips and both felt a spark and said they each other in the morning. And went to bed happy. The next morning Tommy woke up early before everyone else and decided to go outside and train. An hour later the rest of Team 7 woke up and saw Tsunami making breakfast. "Where is Tommy?" asked Sakura. "He is outside training," said Tazuna. Team 7 went outside and saw Tommy was sparring against a shadow clone. Kakashi saw Tommy's taijutsu was more advanced than even Guy and he was impressed. Sasuke decided if he could beat Tommy he would be one step closer to killing his brother. Sakura saw her boyfriend look like a god. Tommy felt he was not alone and dispelled the shadow clone. "Good morning, team. It seems you got head start on your training," said Kakashi. Just then Tsunami said, "Breakfast is ready." With that Team 7 went in to eat. As they were eating, Kakashi noticed that Tommy and Sakura kept looking at each other and smiled. "So tut the Dino Gems." Short Tommy explained how Dino Gem bonded with a person's DNA and give the person a special power, and that his was the power of invisibility. After everyone ate breakfast, Kakashi told them to follow him for their training. When they got to their area, Kakashi told them that the training was for them to climb a tree without using their hands. "You got to be kidding us," said Sasuke. "It's a chakra control exercise, right, Kakashi-sensei?" said Tommy. "You are correct," said Kakashi. He then explained to channel their chakra into their feet and climb the tree. "Use these kuni to mark your progress." Your training starts now. Team 7 then started to climb their tree using chakra. Tommy reached the top of the tree on his first try. Nice job, Tommy, said Sakura, happy that Tommy had perfect chakra control. He just had beginner's luck, said Sasuke. After a few more tries, Sakura reached the top and Kakashi told them to go back and guard Tazuna. Meanwhile, in Zabuza's lair, Zabuza was recovering from his injuries when his partner Haku came and said, "Looks like you're almost back to full strength." Right at that moment, Gato came in and said, "My, how the mighty Zabuza has fallen. You said you could take care of the ninja Tazuna hired, but you failed. I was not expecting for one of Kakashi's students to pull a trick like I have never seen before and beat me," said Zabuza. "I am going to give you another chance to kill Tazuna, but if you fail you will pay very dearly." When Gato left, Zabuza looked at Haku and said, "When we go up against Kakashi and his team, I want you to take care of that Gen and Tommy." "As you wish, Zabuza." As Tommy and Sakura were heading back to guard Tazuna, Tommy saw a sparkle in the bushes and told Sakura that they should go check it out. They went to the bushes and moved them aside and saw a red gem and a white gem. "What are these, Tommy? They look like your Dino gem." "That is because they are Dino gems, Sakura, but how did they ended up here?" As Tommy picked them up in his hands, they both started to glow, and then the gems disappeared into light and went into his Dino gem. "What just happened?" said Sakura. "I think they combine with my Dino gem and I can feel that their powers in me." They then went on their way to Tazuna to guard him. Tazuna was telling the workers what to do as Tommy and Sakura watch him. Tommy and Sakura were thinking how the two Dino gems ended up here and how they merged with his. After they got back to Tazuna house and ate their dinner, Tommy explained what happened on their way to guard Tazuna. "That is very strange," said Kakashi. "I should have been the one to find them and get their power." "Shut up, Sasuke, you would not use the power for the right thing," said Sakura and pounded Sasuke to the floor. "We need to take care of Zabuza and then get rid of Gato once and for all," said Tommy. Inari spoke up and said, "You are a bunch of fools to think you can take on Gato and win." With that, Inari took off with Tsunami yelling for him to get back here. "What is his problem?" said Sasuke. Tazuna said he'd been like this since his father died. He told them how Inari's father came into their lives and saved their town until the day he stood up to Gato and was killed in front of everyone, including Inari. "I show Inari that heroes are real and take down Gato myself. I have took on more tougher villains when I was a Power Ranger and Gato going down like them," said Tommy. Sakura believed Tommy's words and knew everything would be okay. Kakashi saw more of his old sensei in Tommy and knew that he would be Hokage one day. Sasuke knew Tommy would keep his word to Inari and that he would help him make it happen. "Okay, so it's settled, we take down Zabuza and then Gato, is that clear, team?" said Kakashi. When Team 7 started for bed, Kakashi said he wanted to talk to Sakura and Tommy alone. When Tommy and Sakura stayed to talk to Kakashi, he said, "I want to know what's going on between the two of you," he said. Tommy and Sakura told Kakashi that they were in love and were now boyfriend and girlfriend. "I should have guessed that was going to happen since Tommy was placed on his team." With that, they went to bed. That night, Tommy had a dream that Zordon came to him and said that because of Tommy's selfless acts that he would give Tommy the Uchiha bloodline of the Sharingan at its highest level, called the Mangekyo Sharingan, without the side effects, and told him he was very proud of him. Tommy woke up and it was still night, decided to go downstairs to think about his dream. Sakura woke up and decided to check on Tommy in his room. When she saw he was not in his room, she checked downstairs and saw him sitting at the table thinking. "Hey handsome, what are you thinking about?" Tommy saw Sakura and said, "I was just thinking about a dream I was having," said Tommy, and told Sakura about it. After he told her, she said, "Maybe you should try to see if you can activate it," Sakura said. Tommy focused and said Sharingan and felt his eyes were different. He looked in the mirror and saw his eyes looked like Kakashi's Sharingan, and he closed his eyes again, and when he opened them they were normal. Sakura explained that the Sharingan would be passed on to their children when they got married. They promised to keep it between them for now and went back to bed. The next morning, Kakashi told the team to meet him at the bridge to guard Tazuna. Sakura and Sasuke met Kakashi at the bridge, and all of a sudden a fog came in and Kakashi told them to protect Tazuna. 10 feet away, Zabuza and Haku stood in front of Kakashi. "So Kakashi, where is your other student that helped beat me up? I don't need Tommy's help to take you down this time," Zabuza revealing his Sharingan. Meanwhile at Tazuna's house, two of Gato's men came in and started to attack Tsunami, and Inari was too scared to do anything. Just as they were about to kill them when Tommy appeared from out of the wall and said leave them alone. They turned to him and said, so this is the kid that beat Zabuza, let's kill him first. But before they could get him, Tommy's gem glowed red and he moved faster than any ninja and then said Shadow Clone Jutsu, and two more Tommies knocked the men out. He then tied them up and said, are you alright? Thanks a lot Tommy, said Inari. Tommy then told Inari that he was going to the bridge to help the others and tell Inari to go get help. Tommy then brought out his Morpher and said Dino Thunder power up and called his Thunder a TV and headed to the bridge in a blur. Meanwhile back at the bridge, Zabuza was fighting against Kakashi while Sasuke was trapped in a wall of ice mirrors and he could not block the needles even with his Sharingan. Just then Sakura saw Tommy arrive morph on his ATV. Where's Sasuke, said Tommy. He is in that wall of ice mirrors, said Sakura. I go get him. Sakura, you stay with Tazuna. Be careful Tommy. Tommy then carriage into the wall of ice mirrors. What are you doing here, Tommy, said Sasuke. I am here to save you and take this masked ninja down. So you must be the guy who beat my friend Zabuza, said Haku. I suggest you stay down as I don't want to kill you. What do you mean, said Tommy. Haku then told them of how Zabuza found him and how he was going to help him reach his dream of taking over his village. I can see you care about Zabuza, but I can't let you kill a innocent person in the process. I see you leave me no choice, said Haku, and started to throw thousands of needles at Tommy. Tommy was hit so hard by the needles that he was forced to demorph. Tommy knew that Haku now meant to kill him. There was no way he could break all the ice mirrors in time. Tommy's eyes then fall on the dragon dagger and knew what to do. He took the dragon dagger and started to play a tune that had not been played for a long time. Haku was surprised by Tommy's action and was about to kill him when he heard the bridge shook. Everyone on the bridge looked in surprise as the water started to bubble and something rose out of the water. Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 knew what it was from the story Tommy told them. It was the mighty Dragon Zord, Tommy's first Zord. Tommy knew when he heard the roar that it had work. Welcome back old friend, Silade. Another tune on the dragon dagger and missiles pop into place on the Dragon Zord's hands and fired and hit all the ice mirrors, breaking them. Tommy said to Haku, give up before it is too late. Go ahead, kill me because I will not stop until Zabuza dream is real. Tommy knew that Haku was telling the truth and took out his sword and rammed it through Haku's heart and said, I hope you found peace in the next life. Meanwhile Kakashi used the Chidori and killed Zabuza. When the fog cleared, Gato stood there and said, I guess those ninja were worthless. Behind him were 100 men armed with swords. Tommy looked at Gato and said, you use Zabuza and Haku like tools and call them worthless, you don't deserve to live. Tommy then played a tune on the dragon dagger and the Dragon Zord fired missiles at Gato and killed him. The men looked at Gato's remains and said, I guess we will ransack the town. Not on my watch, said Tommy, and said Shadow Clone Jutsu and created 30 clones. Let me on this to said Kakashi. Then all of a sudden Inari and the townspeople came and said, get out of our town. The men look at all the people and look up at the Dragon Zord and decide to run for their lives. Tommy looked at Inari and said, your father would be proud. He then played the dragon dagger and sent the Dragon Zord back to the sea. A few days later the bridge was complete and decided the mission was over. Tazuna looked at Team 7 and said, thanks for everything. It was our honor to help, said Kakashi. Then Team 7 headed back to the village. Grandfather, what should we name the bridge, asked Inari. About the Tommy bridge in honor of Tommy Oliver, who is a very good person. As Team 7 was heading back, Sakura looked at Tommy and said, you were very good back there and I am glad you are okay. Thanks a lot, Sakura, said Tommy and kissed Sakura on the lips, which made Sakura blush. Sasuke looked at them and said, what's going on between those two? Tommy and Sakura had just finished eating lunch at the ramen bar and were heading to meet up with Sasuke to see what Kakashi wanted to talk to them about. When all of a sudden they saw a boy holding the Hokage's grandson Konohamaru by the neck and saying he was going to kill him while a girl was telling him to leave the kid alone. Tommy decided to step in and said, drop the kid now or else. And what are you going to do if I don't, tough guy? Said the boy. Before the boy knew what hit him, Tommy used his super speed and kick him in the gut, releasing Konohamaru. You will pay for that, buddy, but was stopped by a wall of sand. That enough, Konkuro, said a boy. The boy looked at Tommy and Sakura and said sorry for my brother's attitude with an emotionless voice. That's okay, by the way the name's Tommy, and what are you sand ninja doing in the village? The name's Tamari and we are here for the Chunin exams, said the girl. That's right, said Sakura, this year they are in the village. Anyways, sorry about the trouble, and my brother over there is Gara, we need to go, maybe we will see you around. With that they left. That was strange, said Sakura. What do you think, Tommy? That was strange. Tommy then looked at the time and said we need to hurry up or we are going to be late to meet the others. With that Tommy and Sakura took off and got to the meeting place in 10 minutes. When they got there, Sasuke was there waiting for them. What took you guys so long, he said. We kind of ran into trouble, said Tommy. All of a sudden Kakashi showed up and said looks like you are all here. What do you need to tell us about, said Sakura. I am here to tell you all that I have chosen you to be in the Chunin exams. Said Kakashi, here are your resization forms, fill them out and bring them to the room listed on them. With that he vanished. See you two later, said Sasuke and left. Sakura looked at Tommy and said see you at my house tonight for dinner and kissed Tommy goodbye. Tommy quickly ran home and started to get ready to head over to Sakura's house for dinner. He decided to put the cloths he wore when he was found on look in the mirror and walked next door to Sakura's and knock on the door. Ms. Haruno opened the door and said come on in, Tommy. Tommy came in, look at Miss Haruno and remember her expression when he and Sakura told her everything about him and when he morphed in front of her to prove it was truth. She be right done, said Miss Haruno and left. 5 minutes later Sakura came done and said you look nice tonight, Tommy, and give him a kiss. When Miss Haruno looked at them she knew her daughter had found the right guy. She remember when they told her all about Tommy. She didn't believe them until Tommy morphed and asked her to keep his secret. Dinner was then served and as they were eating Tommy and Sakura told Miss Haruno that they were going to be in the Chunin exams. After dinner Tommy said he would see Sakura in the morning and left. The next day Team 7 went inside the building when a boy with bushy eyebrows and dress in green spandex ran up to Sakura and said hi, my name is Rock Lee and will you be my girlfriend? I already have a boyfriend, said Sakura pointing to Tommy. Lee, leave them alone, said a boy who had lavender eyes said. The boy turned to Team 7 and said sorry about my friend, by the way the name's Neji. It's okay, by the way the name's Tommy, this is Sakura and Sasuke, are you here for the Chunin exams too? Yes we are, said Neji. With that Team 7 went on their way upstairs to the exams. Just before they got there Lee stopped them and said Tommy, I challenge you to a spar to win Sakura's love. Tommy knew that he would have to beat Lee if they wanted to make in time for the exams. I accept your challenge, but like Sakura said, she is already taken. With that Lee carried Tommy, but every time Lee tried to hit Tommy would block it and send him backwards until Lee decided to end it with a high-speed kick. But Tommy's gem glowed red and before Lee knew it he had the wind knocked out of him. Just then a guy who looked like an older version of Lee came and said sorry about my student attacking you, by the way the name's Guy, what is your name, young man? It is Tommy Oliver, nice to meet, Guy. With that Team 7 walk away and Guy stood there thinking that Tommy's taijutsu was way more advanced than his. When Team 7 got into the room it was full of ninja. Just then 6 kids that were the same age as Tommy came up and introduced themselves. Their names were Kiba, Shino, Hinta, Shikamaru, Choji, and the girl Tommy met before, Ino. So you're here for the Chunin exams, said a boy with silver hair and glasses, the name's Kabuto. Tommy looked at Kabuto and something told him that he could not be trusted. Just then 3 ninja with headbands with a music note attacked Kabuto and Kabuto managed to get out of the way in time but then fall to the ground and puke. That's enough, sit down, said a man with a scar. Everyone looked at him then sat down and listened to him. I am your prater for the first part of the exams. He went on to say that the test was a written exam and that anyone caught cheating 5 times would have their team expelled. The papers were passed out and the man said begin. Tommy knew it was to gather information, but when he saw the questions he did not have to cheat as he knew the answers. When the 10th question came up the man told them if they failed they would be genin forever. Tommy knew it was a buff and said bring the question on, I am not afraid of failing. When the man saw that no one was scared he said you all pass. Just then a woman came crashing through the window and said my name's Anko and I am going to be your prater for the second part of the exams and told them to meet her tomorrow at a place called the Forest of Death. The next day at the Forest of Death, Anko gives everyone a scroll and told them that they needed to take another team's scroll that they needed and reach the tower in the middle of the forest with all 3 members of the team alive. Team 7 went to the gate that they would go into the forest through. When the gate opened, they ran into the forest full speed. About 5 minutes later, Tommy said, "I see something shiny in the bushes." "I see it too, we should take it out," said Sakura. "Whatever you guys say." Sight to the bushes and move them aside. They saw a yellow gem and a blue gem. "Tommy, look, I think these are Dino gems." Sakura said. "You are right," said Tommy. As he picked both up in his hands, they started to glow and turned to light and went into his gem. All of a sudden a ninja attacked them and demanded they give him their scroll. "Not on your life," said Sasuke, and attacked the ninja. After 10 minutes, Sasuke had the ninja tied to the tree and used his dragon flame jutsu. When the smoke cleared, the ninja was still alive and streaked his neck and sank his teeth into Sasuke's neck, leaving a mark on it. The ninja said that Sasuke would come to him to seek power. Tommy said, "Who are you?" "The name's Orochimaru," and disappeared. Sakura lets pick Sasuke up and move him to someplace safe. They pick Sasuke up and choose to stay under a tree for the night. "He has a high fever," Tommy said. Sakura, "I should have morphed when I had the chance and took out Orochimaru. It wasn't your fault, we didn't know that it was Orochimaru," and give Tommy a kiss on the lips to calm him down. "Thanks a lot, Sakura," and returned the kiss. Before they knew what was happening, they were on the ground making love. After it was over, Tommy said that they should get some sleep and plan what to do in the morning. Next morning, Tommy and Sakura woke up and found that Sasuke's condition had not changed. All of a sudden the 3 sound ninja attack and demeaned that they wake Sasuke. Tommy decided that he would morph and ended this quickly. He brought out his morpher and said, "Dino Thunder, power up," and attack the sound ninja. Meanwhile, Ino, Shikamaru and Choji saw what Tommy did and could not believe what had just happened. Tommy decided to end this now and here and said Super Dino mode. Sakura saw that Tommy's ranger form glowed gold and spikes grew out of his body. Before the sound ninja knew what hit them, they were on the ground. Tommy said, "Give up your scroll and leave here, I kill you." The leader knew they were outmatched. He gave Tommy the scroll, pick up his teammates and left. Tommy turned around and saw that Sasuke was up, but he had black lines over his body. "Fight me," Tommy said Sasuke, and attack him, but before he could get close to him, Tommy used the Brachio Staff's angry orb attack and knocked Sasuke to the ground. The black lines retreated and Sasuke said, "What just happened?" "You were under the control of that mark," said Tommy. All of a sudden Ino, Shikamaru and Choji came out of the bushes and said they saw everything and wanted to know the truth about Tommy. Tommy said power down and told them the same story as he told Team 7 and the Hokage. After he was done, they said they would keep his secret from the others and left. Team 7 then picked up both scrolls and ran full speed to the tower. When they got there, they went inside where Iruka told them congratulations and led them to a large room where the Hokage said that because so many people had passed that there would be a tournament to see who be in the finals. The first match was Sasuke, who won it easily. Lee's lost to the boy Gaara and was so injured that the medical crew said he would never be a ninja again. Tommy's match was next and he faced the boy Kiba, who used his dog against him. The fight was even when Tommy decided that he would reveal his secret to the village so everyone would be able to trust him. The crowd was surprised when Tommy brought out his morpher and said Dino Thunder power up. Tommy used his Brachio Staff and used the angry orb to knock Kiba out and win the match. The Hokage said he would tell everyone about Tommy after the tournament. Gaara looked at Tommy and thought that he was more powerful than him and would kill him and Sasuke. The final match was Sakura vs Ino, which ended in a draw. After the finalists were Anoche, the Hokage said the finals would be held in a month and told them all to learn new jutsu. Kakashi then came to Tommy and said he wanted to teach him a powerful jutsu. Tommy followed Kakashi out into area of forest in front of a big rock and showed Tommy the jutsu called the Chidro and told him how to use it. Tommy ended up mastering it in one try. "Good job, Tommy, your limit is about 10, that's 6 more than I can use." "Thanks a lot, Kakashi-sensei, I promise I will only use this to protect the people of this village." Kakashi then left Tommy, saying he needed to be somewhere. Tommy then decided he needed to talk to Sakura and found her at the flower store. "Hey Sakura, can I talk to you alone?" "Sure you can," said Sakura, wondering what her boyfriend Tommy wanted to talk about. They went to the lake at the training ground where their first mission was. So what is it you want to talk about, said Sakura. Tommy had a hard time trying to get the words out but then got down on knee and pulled out box and said, Sakura Haruno, I want to know if you will marry me and be my wife, said Tommy, and showed her a platinum ring with a pink sapphire with the emerald on one side of it, a green diamond on the other side, and 2 pieces of green jade next each stone. Sakura was speechless for a moment and said, I will marry you, Tommy Olivier. Tommy then slipped the ring on Sakura's finger and they kiss. The next morning Tommy woke up and decided to go for a jog. On the way he passed the hot springs and saw a white-haired man peeking into the ladies' room. Tommy decided to put a stop to this peeping Tom and yelled, hey pervert, stop looking into the ladies' room. With that said, a dozen women came running out, and before the guy knew what hit him was pounding on by the women. After it was all over, the man looked at Tommy and said, what did you do that for, kid? I did it because it is rude to peek on women, said Tommy. It's research for my book and it is none of your bushiness. Before the man knew what hit him, Tommy's gem glowed blue and he used the superhuman strength to send the guy to ground, making a crater. The guy got up and said, that was impressive even though you hurt me. What is your name, young man? It is Tommy Oliver. And what is yours? I am called Jiraiya the Toad Sage. Tommy looked at him and said, as in Jiraiya, one of the legendary Saiyan? Yeah, I am one of the Saiyan, said Jiraiya. Tommy looked at him and said, do you think you can teach me some your jutsu and train me for the Chunin exams? Why should I train you? Said Jiraiya, because so I can become Hokage and take down the Saiyan Orochimaru once and for all. Jiraiya looked at him and could swear he could see his student, the 4th Hokage, looking at him. Okay, I train you so you can complete in the Chunin exams. He then told Tommy to follow him so he could start his training. Jiraiya led him to a river and told him he was going to him how to walk on water using chakra and showed him how to do it. Tommy did as Jiraiya showed him and was able to do it in one turn. Very impressive, Tommy, said Jiraiya. Before I show you any of my jutsu, I want you to tell me all about yourself and don't hide any secrets, kid, or I will not train you. Tommy told him all about the Dino gems, his past as a Power Ranger, how he got here, and that his mentor Zordon came to him in a dream and gave him the Sharingan at its highest level. That is a wild story, kid. Do you have any proof? With that, Tommy brought out his morpher and said, Dino Thunder, power up. Jiraiya was shook. What he saw where Tommy once stood was now the Black Dino Thunder Ranger. So do you believe me now, said Tommy in his adult voice and said, power down and demorph. He then activated his Sharingan to prove he had it. That is very impressive trick, and told him to meet him here tomorrow to show him the jutsu. Tommy then thanked Jiraiya and left to go meet Sakura and her mom so he could hear what she thought of the news that Sakura told her. When he met them, Ms. Haruno came over and gave him a hug, saying, how is my future son-in-law doing? I am doing fine, said Tommy, knowing that Sakura's mom was happy about the news. Tommy looked at Sakura and said, how are you doing, Angel? I am doing fine, handsome, said Sakura, giving him a kiss on the lips. Tommy then told them that his was been trained for the Chunin exams by the same Jiraiya. That is very good news, said Sakura. So when are you two plan on tying the knot on getting married after the Chunin exams, said Tommy. He then said good night to them and went him. The next morning Tommy went to the same place where Jiraiya told him to meet. Jiraiya was already there waiting. So what jutsu are you going to be teaching me, said Tommy. I am going to be teaching you a summoning jutsu, said Jiraiya, and pulled out a scroll and told Tommy to write his name in blood. Tommy did as he was told, and Jiraiya showed him the summoning jutsu and summon a toad and told him to do it too. Tommy did it, but instead of summon a toad like Jiraiya, he summoned the biggest toad he had ever seen and was now on its back. Where am I? And who are you, brat? You are outside the village hidden in the leaves, and I am Tommy Oliver and I am the one who summoned you. What is your name? The name is Gamabunta, and the only one who is able to summon me is Jiraiya. Tommy looked around and found that he had took off. Tommy looked at Gamabunta and said, I was the one who summoned you and I am not getting off your back until you believe me. Suit yourself, kid, but I will make you get off my back. And Gamabunta jumped high into the air and took off. After 3 hours on Gamabunta back, Tommy had enough of him and took out the dragon dagger and played the tune to summon the Dragon Zord. Gamabunta was trying to get Tommy off his back until he heard him play the dragon dagger and wonder what he was doing. All of a sudden he was hit by a tail that belonged to a strange machine that looked like something he had never seen before. Tommy then played a tune and the Dragon Zord fired its missiles and hit Gamabunta. I would settle down if I were you and listen to me, said Tommy. Gamabunta settled down and said, I guess you were telling the truth about summoning me. How about you and me become partners? I agree, we should become partners and work together, said Tommy, and sorry about having my Zord attack you, but it was the only way to calm you down. With that, Tommy played the dragon dagger and sent the dragon Zord back to the sea. Gamabunta looked up at Tommy and said, tell me about yourself, Tommy. Tommy then told Gamabunta the same story he told everyone else. That is a very interesting story, Tommy. If you ever need me to help you, don't be afraid to summon me. With that, Gamabunta disappeared in smoke. Tommy walked back home, but on the way he saw something and decided to find out what it was. When he got there, he found a box. When he opened it, he couldn't believe what it was. It was his white tiger power coin, his Zeo crystal, and the quantum morpher and red Dino power coin. All of a sudden they turned into light, and the light went into his Dino gem. Tommy then went home and went to bed. The next morning he decided to train by himself and took out his sword and started to practice with it. Something told him he could use a special attack with it and decided to channel his power into it. His gem started to glow and the sword glowed as well. Then Tommy slashed the sword down and it created a light of angry that looked like the wind scar on the anime Inuyasha that Tommy would watch when he was up at night grading papers. When the light faded, there was nothing left within 2 miles. Tommy decided to call his attack the Dino Wave Slash. After 3 weeks, it was the day of the Chunin exams. Tommy made to the arena and found out his first match was against Neji. It was a tough match, but in the end Tommy had used his shadow clone jutsu with the dragon dagger to win it. After the next few matches, it was Sasuke versus Gaara. As the match went on, Tommy felt something bad was going to happen. Sasuke had used the Chidro to break through Gaara's sand dome when all of a sudden a strange arm came out and threw Sasuke across the field. Sasuke looked at the hole and saw eyes that looked like a demon. The sand dome fell apart, leaving Gaara looking injured. Tommy had seen the eyes too and wonder what was going on when there was an explosion and sand and sound ninja attack. Tommy started to defend himself. He looked down and saw that Sasuke had chased after Gaara and his siblings. Kakashi came to him and Sakura, I want you two to go after Sasuke and bring him back here before he gets hurt. With that, Sakura and Tommy took off through the hole. Meanwhile, the Hokage was fighting Orochimaru, who said that he wanted to take Sasuke's body as his own and that the village would fall before him. That will never happen, said the Hokage, and attacked Orochimaru. Tommy and Sakura had finally caught up to Sasuke and saw that the mark had started to take over. So you two are here to die, said Gaara. Tommy looked at him and saw that he looked like a monster. All of a sudden Gaara attacked them and Sakura stood in front of him and Sasuke. When she was caught by Gaara claw and pinned against a tree. Gaara then broke his claw off and grew another one. Gaara then explained that Sakura was being crushed to death and the only way to free her was to kill him. Tommy looked at him and said, why do you like to kill people? Gaara explained how he was always trying to be killed because he had a demon sealed in him and that killing was his only purpose in life. Tommy looked at him and said, I will free Sakura and teach you strength comes from having love and being loved. Tommy then attacked Gaara and after 20 minutes Gaara then grew tall and now looked like a demon. Tommy then summoned Gamabunta and told him that they needed to defeat Gaara to save Sakura. Gaara then fell asleep and the demon head took over and attacked Gamabunta. Gamabunta said the only way to seal the demon back up was to wake Gaara up and that would save Sakura. Tommy looked at his bracelet and said, Tiger Zord power up and Q-Rex arise. The two Zords then Apper and Tommy jump into the Tiger Zord and said convert to warrior mode and Q-Rex Megazord mode. The Tiger Zord and Q-Rex transform into their second mode. Tommy then used the Tiger Zord's Mega Thunderbolt and the Q-Rex Max Blizzard attack. As soon as the attacks hit the demon, it fell to the ground and exploded into fire and Gaara was on the ground. Tommy saw Sakura falling from the tree. He jumped from the Tiger Zord and caught her in his arms and saw that she was now okay. He then looked at Gaara and said, are you okay? How come you did not kill me? Because you deserve a second chance and I see that your brother and sister care about you very much. With that, Konkuro and Temria came and said if Gaara was alright, they then pick him up. Before they left, Gaara looked at Tommy and said thank you for everything and I am sorry for everything. Tommy then checked on Sasuke and saw that he looked better. We should head back to the village, said Sasuke. As they were heading back, Sakura woke up and looked at Tommy and said what happened. Tommy explained that she was being crushed to death and that he had saved her and that Gaara was also okay and said he was sorry for everything he had done. "Thanks for saving me, Tommy, and give him a kiss. And I hope Gaara will become a better person," said Sakura. By time they got back to the village, they learned that the Hokage had died trying to get rid of Orochimaru. 1 week later, Tommy was dressed in his infernal cloths and met Sakura and Sasuke outside. "I can't believe the third Hokage is dead," said Sakura. "He was a brave man to try to stop Orochimaru," said Tommy. "I agree, he was very brave," replied Sasuke. They then went to the Infernal. "Everyone place a flower next to the picture to the Hokage," they then said a few words. Everyone was crying, including the Hokage's grandson. Tommy then went up to the picture, placed a flower on it and said he was the most brave and wisest man I had ever known since my mentor Zordon, who died trying to save the people he loved like him. "I hope you can hear me, Lord Hokage. I just wanted you to know that when I become Hokage I will finish Orochimaru, and like my mentor Zordon once said, may the power protect you on your journey, and I hope you get to meet Zordon face to face." Tommy then broke down in tears and cried. Tommy was eating lunch at the Dango bar when the sane Jiraiya came in and said, "Hey Tommy, I want to know if you would accompany me on one of my research trips to find a certain lady." Tommy looked at him and knew there was something had. "Tell me the real reason you want me to come or I put you into the ground like when we first met." "Okay, the real reason is that we need to find the other sane lady Tsunade because she is to become the next Hokage." Tommy knew that since the attack on the village they need a Hokage badly so the other villages would not attack them. I come with you if you teach me more jutsu." "I was planning on doing that anyways since you are my student. Met me at the gates in 3 hours, said Jiraiya and left. Tommy quickly went home and packed everything he need for the trip and decide what the power of the yellow Dino gem did. He contracted and his gem glowed yellow. He went to the door and went through it like a ghost. He then left the house and bumped into Sakura, who said she had something to tell him before he left on his trip. "What is it, Sakura? You can tell me everything." Sakura said, "You know the night in the forest of death when we made love?" "Yeah," said Tommy, remembering that night it happened. "Well, I found out that I am pregnant and wanted to tell you." "That is the best news I heard, Sakura, so I am going to be a dad." Tommy then gave her a kiss and told her when he got back they would get married. Tommy then met Jiraiya at the gates and then they headed out. Meanwhile, Sasuke had come to Kakashi's house and saw that he was out cold and found out that Itachi had come looking for something and that Kakashi had lost against him. He then took off after Tommy and Jiraiya since something told him they were after the power of the Dino gems. Tommy and Jiraiya had just got into a town and Jiraiya had told Tommy to go upstairs and do chakra exercises. Tommy saw that Jiraiya was talking to a pretty lady and decided to go upstairs and think. About a few minutes later there was a knock at the door, and when Tommy answered it there were 2 men. One had blue skin and a sword on his back and the other looked like Sasuke. Tommy knew that the other guy was Itachi. They told him to come with them. Tommy went out the door and said, "I am going nowhere with you guys." Just then the blue guy swung his sword down, but before he could hit Tommy his gem glowed red and moved out of the way. Sasuke then showed up and said that he was going to kill Itachi. But Itachi stopped him and said he was weak. Itachi looked into Sasuke's eyes and used his Mangekyo Sharingan on Sasuke, and Sasuke screamed and fell to the floor. All of a sudden Jiraiya came and did battle with the blue guy. Tommy decided he would go after Itachi and beat him and activated his own Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi looked as Tommy came at him and saw that he had also the Mangekyo Sharingan like him. "How the hell do you have the Mangekyo Sharingan and not a Uhsila?" Tommy looked at him and said, "My mentor Zordon gave it to me because I put my life on the line for others." Before Itachi knew what hit him, Tommy used his Mangekyo Sharingan on him and Itachi screamed and fell to the floor in a heap. Kisame saw that Itachi had fallen to the floor. He decided to run. He picked up Itachi and said, "We will meet again." Jiraiya then came to Tommy and said, "Good work beating Itachi." Tommy then saw Guy outside and told him to take Sasuke back to the village and they would come back with Tsunade. Then Tommy and Jiraiya went along on their journey. "Hey Jiraiya, how come you decide to train me?" "It's because the 4th Hokage was a student of mine and you remind me a lot of him. You both got the same attitude about protecting the village." Tommy looked at Jiraiya and said, "Thanks a lot." They then came to a town where there was a fair being held. Jiraiya said he would gather information on Tsunade and he would meet him at the tree over there. After 3 hours Tommy saw Jiraiya come back with water balloons and rubber balls. He said, I knew where Tsunade is, but before we go I want to teach you a jutsu that was used by the 4th Hokage. It is called the Rasengan. He gave Tommy a water balloon and told him to use chakra to pop it. Tommy pop it right away. He gave Tommy a rubber ball and told him to focus his chakra into one spot and pop the ball. Tommy not only pop it but made it explode. He then told Tommy to make a ball of chakra in a balloon but not to pop it. Tommy did as he was told but couldn't keep it from popping. Okay, that enough, let's get the move on. They then left for the place where Tsunade was seen. When they got there Tommy couldn't believe how many casinos they were. This place is almost like Las Vegas, Tommy said. They went into every casino but no one had seen Tsunade. Jiraiya told him that they were going to go in a pub to get something to eat. When they got in Jiraiya shouted, "Hey Tsunade." Tommy heard a female voice say, "What, Jiraiya?" Tommy looked where the voice came from and saw a woman who looked like an older version of Sakura, except she had blonde hair and brown eyes. After they took a sit with Tsunade and her Ashiant Shizune, Jiraiya told her that she was chosen to become the 5th Hokage. Tsunade looked at him and said, "Hokage who would want to become that? It is a fool's job to take." Tommy had heard enough. It is not a fool's job, it is the most important job to take, as you need to protect the village and the lives of the people. You are the fool if you think it is a fool's job. Who do you think you are, brat? She said, "I am Tommy Oliver and I am going to be the next Hokage and you're nothing but a seftus old lady. Hey, about we take this outside, kid." With that said they both went outside and Tsunade said, "I only need one finger to beat you." Tommy then charged her and started to attack her. Before Tommy knew what hit him, he was sent backwards. He then decided to use the Rasengan. When Tsunade saw this she pounded the ground and made a crack in it. Tommy moved out of the way in time. Tsunade then looked at Jiraiya and said, "You are Jiraiya to teach him the Rasengan. Just give me 3 days and I will master it. How about we make a bet? If you can master it I take back everything I said and I even throw in my necklace. And if I lost," said Tommy, "then you have to give me all your money." It a bet. That night Tommy heard a knock at the door. When he opened it, it was Shizune. "You had to call the bet off," she said. "Why should I?" said Tommy. Shizune then told her how the necklace was called the Necklace of Death, and when Tsunade gave it to both her brother and her love they both ended up dead. Tommy looked at her and knew she was hiding something. "I know you are hiding something, tell me or I go tell Jiraiya that you are hiding something." Shinzune told Tommy that Orochimaru had promised to bring back Tsunade's brother and love if she healed his arms so he could destroy Kano. Tommy said, "Tell Tsunade to meet me in 2 hours outside of town." Shizune told him she would give Tsunade the message and left. Tommy quickly left the room and using the red gem's power got outside the town in 5 minutes. It took Tommy 15 minutes of training to got the Rasengan right. After the 2 hours Tsunade came to where Tommy told her he wanted to meet her. Tommy saw Tsunade and said, "I am glad you showed up and I know about the deal Orochimaru made with you. It is none of your business what I do. I know people like Orochimaru well. As soon as they get what they want to turn on you. And how do you know he would do that?" Tsunade said. Tommy then told her about his life as a Power Ranger and how every villains his team made a deal with they turn on them. Tsunade looked at Tommy and said, "Prove to me that what you say is true." Tommy brought out his morpher and said, "Dino Thunder power up," and became the Black Dino Thunder Ranger. Tsunade saw what Tommy did and said, "Okay, I believe, but let me think about this," and left. Tommy then demorphed and headed back to his room, but on the way back he saw something shiny in the rocks. When he went over to the rocks he saw a green gem, a gold gem and a silver gem. He knew that these were 3 Dino gems, but he had never seen them before. He picked them up and just like the others they glowed, turned to light and went into his gem. At the end of the week Tommy went to check on Tsunade. When he got in there he saw Shizune was getting up off the floor. "What happened?" he asked. Saint Tsunade had knocked her out so she could go met with Orochimaru. Just then Jiraiya came in and Tommy told him what Shizune told him. "We need to hurry," he said. When they got to the meeting place they saw a hole in the wall and decided to follow the trail. When they got to a field they saw that Tsunade was covered in blood, shaking. Tommy looked across and saw Orochimaru and the kid he met before, Kabuto. Jiraiya told Shizune to take care of Kabuto while he took on Orochimaru. Kabuto attacked Shizune, sending her to the ground, and went up to Tsunade. Tommy blocked him and played a tune on the dragon dagger and turned to Tsunade and told her that she was going to pay up. Kabuto attacked Tommy head-on, but Tommy used the Razgan to send him flying backwards. Kabuto looked at Tommy and said that he had cut the lines to his heart and that he was going to die. I don't think so, because you see the tune I played on the dagger made me temporary invulnerable to any damage. Tsunade said that she could take from here and told him to step back. Kabuto ran to Orochimaru's side and then Tommy saw all the sane perform the summoning jutsu. When the smoke cleared, Tommy saw Gamabunta and a slug and snake. "Count me in," said Tommy, and morph into his ranger form. Tommy looked at his morpher and said Brachiozord. The Brachiozord came onto the field and opened the doors and the Dinozords came out. Tommy then looked at Shizune and said, "You better come with me, it will be safer in the Zords than out here." He then grabbed her and went into the Tierno Zord and said, "Thundersaurus Megazord, power up." The Zords then combine into the Thundersaurus Megazord. The snake looked at the Megazord and said, "You got to be kidding me." The snake then attacked them, but Tommy said, "Dino drill attack." The Thundersaurus Megazord then performed the drill attack and went right through the snake. The snake then fell down and exploded. Meanwhile, Orochimaru was fighting on the ground with Tsunade, who was beating him up. "This is your last battle." Her hand then glowed green and she hit Orochimaru with all her strength. When the smoke cleared, Tsunade couldn't believe that he was still standing. "I guess I will have to find another way to heal my arms, but hear this, I will come back and kill you all." With that he vanished with Kabuto in tow. Tommy came up to her and said, "Are you all right, Lady Tsunade?" "Yeah, I am all right, thanks to all of you." Tommy then demorphed and said, "So I guess this means you are going back to the village with this to become Hokage?" "Yes, I am, and a bed is a bed," and put her necklace around his neck and said, "One day you will become a great Hokage," and kiss him on the cheek. Jiraiya looked at them and said, "Come, we should head back to the village." They all then head back to the village. When they got to within 2 miles of the village, Tommy saw a girl about 5 years old on the ground who looked hurt. Tommy ran over to the girl and saw she had silver hair, gold fox ears and 9 gold fox tails tipped white, and she was bleeding. "We need to get her to the hospital and fast." Tommy then picked her up and they head back full speed to the village. Sakura was waiting at the gates when she heard that Tommy was almost back. She then saw Tommy and the others and saw that he was carrying a 5-year-old girl who looked bad. She ran up to him and said, "What happened to this girl?" she said. Tommy explained they found her on the road and that she needed medical help. They then got to the hospital and told the doctors what happened to the girl. The doctors then rushed the girl to the After 3 hours, Tsunade came and said that the girl was going to be all right and that she should wake up in the morning. The next morning, Tommy and Sakura went to check on the girl. When they got there, they saw Tsunade and she said that all the girl's wounds had healed up real fast and that she had to be a demon to have that kind of healing power. They then went into the room and saw that she was up and looked scared. Sakura went up to her and said, "It's all right, no one is going to hurt you, we are here to help." "What's your name, little girl?" Sakura said, like she was the girl's mom. "My name is Kyubi," said the girl, looking at Sakura with her red eyes. "My name is Sakura and the boy over there is my future husband, Tommy." Tommy went over to Kyubi and said, "Can you tell us what happened to you and where are your parents?" Kyubi looked at them and said, "Some people in black coats with red clouds on them killed my parents and tried to kill me because I am a demon and they wanted my powers, but I ran away and ended up falling on the side of a road." Tommy and Sakura looked at each other and knew it had to be the Akatsuki. Tommy and Sakura asked Kyubi if she wanted to be their daughter and them to her new mom and dad. Kyubi looked at them and said she would like that and said, "Can I call you mom and dad?" They told her she could. Tommy and Sakura then told her they would be back to pick her up. Tommy told Sakura that he would talk to Tsunade to tell her that they wanted to adopt Kyubi. Sakura said she would tell her mom that they were going to be Kyubi new parents and that she would be a grandmother. Tommy went to Tsunade's office and said, "Lady Tsunade, I came here to tell you that me and Sakura have decided to adopt Kyubi as our daughter." Tsunade looked at Tommy and said, "You and Sakura are brave to adopt and raise Kyubi as your own," and handed Tommy some papers and told him to sign them. After he signed them, Tsunade took them and said, "Now you and Sakura are now Kyubi parents." He then went back to the hospital where he saw Sakura with her mom holding Kyubi's hand. Ms. Haruno looked at Tommy and Sakura and said, "I am so proud that you for deciding to become Kyubi's parents," and look at Kyubi and said, "Welcome to family, Kyubi." Kyubi looked at Ms. Haruno and said thank you grandma and thank you mom and dad for making me your daughter. With that they left the hospital and went home. Tommy and Sakura couldn't believe in 2 weeks that they were going to be husband and wife. They had just moved into the 4th Hokage manor with Ms. Haruno and their new daughter Kyuubi, who they decide would be the flower girl for the wedding. Tommy wished that his fellow rangers could be there to see him get married. Sakura had shown him the kimio that she decided to wear. It was pink with white and silver flowers. Tommy had decided that he would wear the cloths he always wear on missions since it looked right for oxygen. It was decided that Kakashi would be the one to give the bride away as Sakura's dad had died on a mission a few years ago. They said good night to each other and went to bed. That night Tommy had a dream where Zordon told him that he would allow the other rangers to come back to life just so they could see Tommy get married to Sakura. The next morning Tommy woke up and told Sakura about his dream. She said that when he had a dream where Zordon talked to him it all came true. They then headed down the stairs to see Ms. Haruno making breakfast. Kyuubi went up to them and said good morning mom and dad and gave them a hug. How did you sleep last night? Kyuubi Sakura said to her daughter. I sleep good after grandma read me a story. They all sit down to eat when a knock was heard at the door and when Tommy answered it. It was Sasuke who told them that Tsunade had sent him to tell him that there were a group of several people who said that they were friends of Tommy. Tommy, remembering the dream he had about Zordon, said I go meet them myself and see if they're telling the truth. He turned to Sakura and said that he had to go to the gates of the village and see who these people were. I see you later honey. I got to go see Tsunade to see how her unborn child is doing, she said. Tommy then took off to the gates and when he got there he saw the guards telling a group of people that Tommy was heading to meet them. When he saw the people he knew who they were but couldn't believe what he was seeing. A teenager in red said my name Connor and we are all friends of Tommy Oliver. Connor McKnight, is that you? Said Tommy. Connor looked to see a kid about 12 years old calling his name and said do I know you from somewhere kid? Yi showed Connor his bracelet with his Dino gem. Haley saw the kid had shown Connor a black Dino gem on his left arm and said Tommy, is that you? Tommy looked at Haley and said it is me Haley. What happened to you? Tommy looked at the guards and told them that these people were friends of his and that they could pass. The guards decide to let the people go and let them. Tommy looked at his friends and told him all about what happened to him and that he was going to get married in 2 weeks to a girl named Sakura. That is quite a story bro, said Jason. When do we get to meet the future Ms. Oliver? Tommy told them that they would meet Sakura and everyone else when they got to his house and said there was plenty of room for them to stay in. When they got to the house Ethan said man how huge is this place drive. Oh. It used to belong to the 4th Hokage, said Tommy, but me and Sakura her mom and our daughter Kyuubi live in here now. As soon as they entered the house Kyuubi hugged her dad and saw a lot of people and said daddy, who are all these people? These people happen to be old friends of mine, said Tommy, and introduced everyone to Kyuubi. Just then Sakura came in and saw that Tommy was talking to some people and decided to see who they were. Everyone saw a girl with long pink hair and green eyes who looked the same age as Tommy was now and looked pregnant. Said Tommy, who are all your friends? She said. Tommy said these are all my fellow rangers and best friends and introduced Sakura to them. Guys, this is Sakura Haruno, my future wife and mother to my unborn child. Kat and Kim look at Tommy and Sakura and were happy that he had finally found someone to love. Billy told Tommy that Zordon had told them that they were going to be brought back to life so that they could go to Tommy's wedding and then they were going back to the spirit world shortly after. That night Ms. Haruno had made dinner for everyone and decided it was a special oxygen as she finally got to meet all of Tommy's friends and fellow rangers. Tommy had asked Jason if he would his best man and Jason said he would be Honor. Sakura asked Kim and Kat if they would be her 2 bridesmaids as her best friend Ino was the maid of honor. The next morning Sakura and the girls had gone out shopping for the female rangers' dresses. Tommy decided that he would show all the male rangers all his jutsu and about chakra. After a few hours Sakura and the girls had come back from shopping and saw that Tommy and the guys sparring with each other. Kim told Sakura that Tommy and the guys had always did this for fun when they were in high school. After dinner everyone decided it was time to go to bed, almost 2 weeks. Later it was the night before the wedding. The girls decide to tell Sakura about their stories as rangers for the bachelorette party. Tommy and the guys decide that for the bachelor party that they would have a karate tournament and the rule was that Tommy could not use any jutsu but only his martial art training. In the end Tommy still kick all their butts and won. The next day was the big day for Tommy and Sakura as it was their wedding. Tommy stood at the altar with Jason. Tommy couldn't believe that he was going to get married. The music then played and Kyuubi came down the aisle throwing flowers down. Then Kakashi came down with Sakura in her kimio with her hair in a bun held together with a hairpin. When Sakura came to the altar next to Tommy, Tsunade who was in her Hokage robes started the ceremony. After Sakura and Tommy put their wedding bands on each other's fingers and said their vows. Tsunade said now I pronounce you husband and wife you might kiss the bride. Tommy and Sakura then kiss and Tsunade said I now give you Mr. and Miss Tommy Oliver. At the reception everyone was happy and Jason held a toast saying that he wished the best of luck to Tommy and Sakura and wished them many long and happy years together. Tommy then stood up and thanked everyone for coming to the wedding and said if he and Sakura had a son that he would name it after Jason as he considered him a brother. The next day Tommy and Sakura said goodbye to Haley and the Rangers and said their wedding was special as they were able to be there for it. Jason looked at Tommy and said that they were all proud of him for what he was doing and that Zordon was proud of him too and that they would be with Tommy in spirit. Tommy and Sakura looked to see that the Rangers and Haley were starting to turn into light and said goodbye to Tommy and Sakura. When the light faded they were gone but Tommy and Sakura were glad that they had come to their wedding and would remember this day for the rest of their lives. It had been 2 weeks since the wedding. Tommy was eating breakfast with his wife Sakura, their daughter Kyuubi and Miss Haruno. They heard a knock at the door. When Tommy answered it, it was Kakashi who said that Tsunade wanted to see him and that it was urgent that he come. Tommy looked at Hi Sakura and said I have to go see Lady Tsunade as it is urgent that I go. He then gave her a kiss goodbye and left. When he got to the Hokage's office he saw Lady Tsunade talking to a group of genin. Tommy please come in. Tommy came in and said what is it that you need to see me for? The reason is that you are being promoted to the rank of Jonin and I got a mission for you that is of the most importance. What is the mission about? The mission is that you are to bring back your teammate Sasuke because he has left the village to go Orochimaru for power. Lady Tsunade then introduced him to the team he was to lead to bring back Sasuke. After he met his team they were told to go to the gates an hour and leave. When everyone was at the gates Tommy told him that it was important that they get Sasuke back and bring him in alive. Before they could leave Sakura came to Tommy and said let me come with you Tommy. Tommy looked at her and said it was too dangerous as she was pregnant and had to make sure everything was safe at home. Tommy and his team then left. About 2 hours they were attacked by a group of sound ninja who were powerful. The fat one used a jutsu that trapped them in a dome of dirt. Tommy told them to use their attacks on one area of the dome. They finally broke out and Choji said he would handle it. They finally caught up to them. When the guy with 6 arms attacked them, Tommy and his team were caught in spider webbing when Neji broke them out and looked at the guy and said you guys go after the others and get Sasuke while I handle this guy. You have better make it out alive said Tommy and he and the others took off. Tommy then decided that him Kiba and Shikamaru would attack the last 2 from all sides. The 2 ninja never knew what hit them as they were being attacked. Tommy grabbed the coffin Sasuke was in and tossed to Kiba and said let's hurry back before they regroup. They headed back full speed to the village when all of a sudden a guy with 2 red dots on his head with white hair attacked them and took the coffin with Sasuke and landed on a tree branch. Kiba looked at the guy and said gave us back our friend creep. I do not think so said the guy and told the other sound ninja to take care of them. Tommy looked at Kiba and Shikamaru and said you two handle these freaks. I go after that guy and get Sasuke back. Tommy then took off in pursuit. Tommy used the red gem's power to quickly catch up to the guy and said stop it right there. The guy looked at him and said it is too late my master Orochimaru will be pleased when I bring him his vessel. What do you mean by vessel? And what is your name? My name is Kimimaro and the Uchiha is going to be Lord Orochimaru's new body. Not on my life said Tommy and attacked Kimimaro. When he attacked Kimimaro took a bone out of his body and slashed Tommy with it. All of a sudden the coffin popped open and Sasuke stood there looked at Tommy and took off. Tommy tried to run after him but was blocked by Kimimaro who said you're not through with me yet. As Tommy prepared to battle him, Kimimaro was struck by a leg that sent him backwards. Tommy looked up and saw it was Rock Lee. Thanks for the save Lee. Lee looked at him and said, "You go after Sasuke while I." "Thanks again, Lee, and you be careful." Tommy took off using his super speed. His caught up to Sasuke, who then ran into a cave and Tommy went in it after him. When Tommy got out of the cave he saw a waterfall and 2 stone figures on each side. He knew that this was the Valley of the End. Tommy saw that Sasuke was on one of the figures and hop on the other. "Hey Sasuke, let's head back to the village so we can go see the others." Sasuke turned around and Tommy saw that the mark had taken over. "Go back with you to that village of Vikings," said Sasuke. "You don't mean that it is the curse mark talking? I know what I am talking about, and I am going to Orochimaru so I can become strong enough to kill my brother." "Sasuke, Orochimaru only wants your body to inhabit. You are lying, and I am going to kill you to get the Mangenko Sharingan, as I consider you my brother." Tommy knew that Sasuke meant it. "I guess the only way to make you see the truth is for me to fight you." With that, Tommy and Sasuke leapt at each other. Sasuke and Tommy found out that they were equal in battle until Sasuke revealed a surprise. Sasuke's body turned gray and he grew wings. Tommy knew the only way to stop him was to morph. Tommy brought his morpher and said, "Dino Thunder power up," and once he was morphed said Super Dino mode. "Sasuke, stop this right here, as I don't want to harm you. You're the one that going to die." Sasuke then attacked Tommy. As they fought, Tommy was slowly losing as he had a hard time keeping up his Super Dino mode. Sasuke then delvired a Chidro, which caused Tommy to lose his Super Dino mode. Tommy looked up at Sasuke and tired to tell him to stop. Sasuke didn't listen and powered up another more powerful Chidro to finish him. All of a sudden a pink blur caused Sasuke to be thrown backwards. When Tommy stood up he saw the pink Lost Galaxy Ranger. The Ranger looked the same as she appeared in the Ranger history video, except on her left side was a Wild Force crystal saber with the pink crystal orb of the tiger, as well as her Quasar saber on her right side. Something told Tommy this was not Kendix. "Thanks for the help," said Tommy. "You're welcome, Tommy," the Ranger said with Sakura's voice. "Sakura, but how did you ended up a Ranger?" said Tommy to his wife. "I explain later, we need to free Sasuke from the curse mark." Sak got up and said, "I guess you have to die too." He then attacked both of them. Tommy looked at Sakura and said, "We should focus all our angry into our weapons and target the curse mark, and that should destroy it and save Sasuke." Tommy and Sakura then took out their weapons and focused all their angry into them. Just as Sasuke was about to strike them down, they unleashed their attacks, which then stroked the mark on Sasuke's neck and destroyed it. Sasuke then returned to normal and fell to the ground. They then ran over to Sasuke but were stopped when Orochimaru and Kabuto attacked them, sending them to the ground. Orochimaru looked at them and said, "You have caused me a lot of pain and it's about time for the both of you to die." Tommy and Sakura got up and they both said that they were not done yet and that Orochimaru and Kabuto would die here and now. Tommy then went after Orochimaru while Sakura took on Kabuto. As Tommy fought Orochimaru, he was covered by light, and when it faded his ranger form had a metallic look to it and he felt more powerful than before. He then took out his brachiostaff and said Super Angry Orb, which then stroked Orochimaru and he exploded into light. Sakura used the lights of Orion and turned into a ball of pink light, and Kabuto fall and explode like Orochimaru did. Tommy went over to Sakura and said, "Let's take Sasuke back to the village." When they got back they learned that everyone else had made it back safely. Tommy and Sakura said, "Power down." When Tommy looked at Sakura he noticed that she had a bracelet on like his with a pink Dino gem. Sakura explained that Kim and Kat had given her the Galaxy Morpher with the pink gem as a wedding gift and that she was to use it to protect the village and help Tommy. When Sasuke woke up he said he was sorry for everything he had done. "It's okay Sasuke, it was not you, it was the mark," said Tommy. Tsunade came in and said that the mission was a success and she was happy that Orochimaru and Kabuto were now gone for good. That night Tommy and Sakura had a big dinner at their house and were thankful that everything had come out all right for them. It had been a few months since Orochimaru was killed. Everything was all right in the village. In Tommy and Sakura's house they had just celebrated Kyuubi's 6th birthday. As they were cleaning up, Tommy saw that Sakura held her chest and was in pain. Tommy rushed over to her and said, "What's the matter, are you alright?" Sakura looked at him and said, "My water just broke and I am in labor." Tommy quickly picked Sakura up and told Mrs. Haruno and Kyubi to meet them at the hospital. Tommy rushed to the hospital and went in and told them that his wife was in labor. The doctors quickly put Sakura into a wheelchair and brought her to a room. Just then Mrs. Haruno and Kyubi came in with Sasuke and Kakashi. "What's going on?" said Kakashi. Tommy looked at him and said that Sakura was in labor. "That great news," said Sasuke. Kyubi went to her dad and said, "Daddy, is mommy going to be alright?" "She is just going to be fine, she just going to have the baby," said Tommy. Just then Tsunade came in and said that Sakura was ready to have the baby and that she would be the one to deliver it. Tommy told Tsunade that he wanted to be with his wife when it happened, as in his world the father is allowed into the delivery room. Tsunade told Tommy to get some smocks on and met her in the room. When Tommy got there, Sakura was all ready to give birth. Tommy went over to her and said, "Hey honey." Sakura looked at her husband and knew everything would be alright. Tsunade told Sakura to push. After 5 hours Sakura had given birth to 4 girls and a boy. Tsunade went to tell everyone that Sakura and Tommy had 5 kids. Tommy and Sakura looked at them and saw that one girl had ruby red hair and sapphire blue eyes. Another one had tan skin with black hair with pink bangs with black eyes. The third girl had aqua blue hair with the same color eyes. And the fourth looked a lot like Sakura with pink hair and green eyes. The boy looked a lot like Tommy. They decided that the first girl would be named Fiona. The second one would be named Rose. The third girl they would name Yukina. And the fourth girl would be named after her mother Sakura. They had already decided to name their son after Tommy's best friend Jason. Tommy told the nurse to let their daughter Kyubi and Mrs. Haruno in along with Tsunade and of course Kakashi and Sasuke. When they got into the room, Kyubi ran over to her parents and said, "Are these my baby sisters and brother?" Sakura looked at her and said, "Yes, these are your baby siblings." Everyone was happy for Tommy and Sakura. After a few days, Tommy and Sakura brought their new children home. When they got in, they saw everyone had come to welcome them home. During the welcome home party, Tommy and Sakura told Tsunade that she was to become the baby's godmother and that Kakashi was going to be the godfather. After everyone left, Tommy and Sakura put their kids to sleep and said to each other that they were the luckiest people alive and went to bed happy. Several weeks after Sakura had given birth, Tommy and Sakura were just heading back from a mission in the land of lighting and both were in ranger form. Tommy was riding his Thunder ATV while Sakura was riding her pink shark cycle. Sakura stopped and told Tommy, "I think I heard a noise coming from the bushes over there." Tommy stopped and said, "What did it sound like, Sakura?" "It sounded like a baby crying." They both listened and sure enough it sounded like a baby crying from the bushes. They both went over to the bushes, moved them aside and saw not one but 3 baby girls that looked the same age as their newborn children. Sakura went over to them and picked one up. The baby girl in her arms had tan skin with dark pink hair, but what was different was she also had cat ears and a cat tail and her eyes were gold there too. One had snow white skin with blonde hair, red eyes with 2 green triangles on her head, while the other had white hair with white wolf ears and a white wolf tail and had silver eyes. Tommy looked at Sakura and said they appeared to be bonded. "What should we do with them, Tommy?" said Sakura. Looking at the baby girls. "We should take them back with us and adopt them and raise them as our kids." Sakura agreed with Tommy and sounded happy that they would have 3 more daughters. Tommy picked up the other 2 and both of them got back on their vehicles and headed back full speed to the village. When they got back, they reported to Lady Tsunade and told her what they planned to do with the 3 infant girls they found. Tsunade looked happy that Sakura and Tommy planned to raise these 3 girls as their own and said, "What do you plan on calling them?" Tommy and Sakura told her they would name the cat girl Crystal, the one with the wolf ears and tail Shizu, and the one with blonde hair they would name after Tsunade. Tsunade handed them the papers and after they signed them she told them the baby girls were lucky to have Tommy and Sakura as parents. When Tommy and Sakura got back to their house, Kyubi came running up to them and said, "Welcome home, mommy and daddy," and noticed the 3 infant girls in their arms and said, "Who are these 3? Sakura got down and said, "These are your new sisters, Kyubi." Kyubi quickly ran up to her grandma Mrs. Haruno and told her that her parents had brought home 3 more sisters. Mrs. Haruno quickly went over to her daughter and her son-in-law Tommy and said, "Where did you found these little darlings?" Tommy quickly explained that they found them on their way back from their mission and had decided to adopt them as their children. Mrs. Haruno told them she was happy that they found them and that they were going to raise them well. After dinner they went out shopping for the things they needed for their new children. After they got back they put all their children to bed and read Kyuubi a bedtime story. The next morning a Anbu came to their door and told them that Tsunade wanted to see them. When they got to the Hokage's tower, Tsunade told them to come in and have a seat. The reason I called the both of you here is that we have found out where the Akatsuki hideout is and I would like both of you to lead a team of highly skilled ninja to finish them off once and for all. When do we leave? Lady Tsunade said. Tommy, you will leave in about 5 hours. And who will be on the team we will lead? Said Sakura. Your teammates for this mission will be Sasuke, Kakashi, Guy, Kurena, Neji, and of course Gaara of the Sand with his sister Tamari. Tommy and Sakura then both bowed and left to prepare for what would become the final battle against evil. 5 hours later Tommy and Sakura met the team they would be leading and told them what the mission was about. Sasuke looked at Tommy and said, I finally get to take my brother out with your guys' help. They then left the gate and run to the place where the Akatsuki hideout was. After about 3 days they finally got the place where the Akatsuki hideout was. Tommy and Sakura led their team to the entrance, which was blocked by a boulder. Tommy looked at them and said it time to bring out the Hive firepower and said Red Battlezord online. The Red Battlezord appeared and Tommy jumped in and fired the machine guns on the Zord's arms and made a big hole into the rock. Tommy then jumped down and said, be very careful everyone, there is probably a lot of traps, so be very careful and watch your step. After couple 100 feet and avoiding a lot of traps the team came to large room that looked like a large arena to Tommy. Sasuke looked around and said, so where are they? Did they turn around and run away? I don't think so, said Tommy. I think we are probably being watched. I got the same feeling, said Sakura. All of a sudden the lights came on and standing there was the 9 members of the Akatsuki and their boss. The boss of the Akatsuki looked at them and said, you may have been lucky to find our hideout, but you will not leave here alive, and told his minions to kill them. Tommy told everyone to defend themselves and work together and that he and Sakura would take care of the leader, and both him and Sakura leaped forward and attacked the leader. Meanwhile everyone was holding their own against the other members of Akatsuki, and Sasuke and Kakashi decide to go after Itachi. Itachi looked at both of them and said, you cannot defeat me. Sasuke looked at his brother and said, Tommy beat you once and I will finish you off once and for all. He turned to Kakashi and said, about we finish him off together. I agree with you and I am glad you are willing to work as a team. They both attack Itachi using their Sharingan, and before Itachi knew what hit him he was killed by 2 Chidro through his heart. Tommy and Sakura were fighting the leader who was winning. They both looked at each other and brought out their morphers and morph. The fight was then even. Tommy looked at the leader and said, you are you and why do you have the Sharingan? The leader looked at them and said, my name is Madara Uchiha and you will both now die, and attack them. Tommy called on his new metallic armor while Sakura called on the lights of Orion. The combined attack by both of them caused Madara to fall to the ground. But then he stood up and said, this is far from over, and perform a summoning jutsu. When the smoke cleared there now stood a giant dragon. Tommy looked at Sakura and said, let's call the Zords. Tommy called on the Thundersaurus Megazord and the Q-Rex. Sakura called on the Galaxy Megazord and the Wildforce Megazord. They both jump into one Megazord and then they attack the dragon. The dragon was winning the battle when Tommy talked to Sakura and said, let's combine our firepower and destroy this dragon and kill Madara once and for all. Tommy and Sakura then called on all their power and release it from the Zords, and the blast destroyed the dragon and killed Madara once and for all. Tommy and Sakura then joined the rest of the team and found out that all of the Akatsuki had been killed. Good job everyone, said Tommy. All of a sudden there was a light of gold and everyone stood in shock as there in front of them was Zordon with the 3rd and 4th Hokage. Zordon looked at Tommy and said, I am proud of you, Tommy, for finally defeating the evil of this world and that you have found your true love. Looking at Sakura, the 3rd and 4th Hokage then said that they were both proud of all of them and that now the world would finally know place at long last. With that the light faded and everyone was alone in the room. Tommy looked at them and said, let's all go back to the village, tell Tsunade the mission was a success. When they got back to the village, Tsunade was proud that the Akatsuki were finally gone and now there was finally something to celebrate. That night the village celebrated the fact that there was no more evil to worry about and thanked Tommy and Sakura and their team for making it happen. The next morning at Tommy and Sakura's house there was a knock at the door, and when they answered it was Tsunade. "I need to tell you something important," Tommy and came in. Tommy looked at her and said, "What is it you needed to tell me?" Tsunade looked at him and said, "The Konasel and me have made the decision that when I retire as the Hokage that you will be taking my place." Tommy looked at her and said, "Do you mean it?" "Yes, I do mean it," said Tsunade. Tommy then turned to Sakura and she said, "I am so proud that you will be the next Hokage," and gave him a kiss on the lips, and they both smiled at each other. It had been 17 years since the final battle against the Asatsuki, and now the 6th Hokage Tommy Oliver was sitting at his desk doing paperwork and thinking about all that had happened to him since he got here 17 years ago. When there was a knock at the door and his wife Sakura Oliver came in and said, "What are you thinking about, Tommy?" "I am just thinking about everything that has happened since we met." Just then there were 9 colors of light, and there stood the Ninja Storm Rangers and the White and India Pink Wind Ranger. The Red Wind Ranger told the others to power down, and in their place stood Tommy and Sakura's children, all grown up. Tommy looked at their oldest daughter Kyubi and said, "So how did the mission go, Rangers?" "The mission went as planned," said Kyubi, who was the Red Wind Ranger. "Anything else to add?" "No, there is nothing to report," said Kyubi, and before they left said, "We will see you and Mom at home, Dad." Tommy remembered when Zordon had given him the Ninja Storm Rangers morphers along with the White and Black Alien Ranger power coins and a Pink Wind morpher. They decided that Kyubi would be the Red Ranger and leader of the team, while Fiona was the Blue Wind Ranger, Rose would be the Yellow Wind Ranger, Yukina would be the Krisman Thunder, Crystal would be the Navy Thunder, Jason would become the Green Samurai Ranger, Tsunade and Ishizu would become the Black and White Alien Rangers, and of course their final daughter Sakura would become the Pink Wind Ranger. Tommy decided to make the new team of Rangers into a peacekeeping force to maintain peace all across the world and take on the most dangerous missions to catch missing ninja that pose a threat to the peace. Tommy looked at the clock and said, "I guess we should head to the monument." "Yeah. We should get going," said Sakura, and they leave. They stopped to the flower shop and saw Sasuke with his wife Ino. "Hey Tommy," Sakura said. Sasuke, "Hey Sasuke." Tommy said, "How is your daughter Kasara doing?" "She is doing just fine," said Ino. "She and Jason are excited about going out for dinner tonight," said Sasuke. Tommy and Sakura were happy that Jason and Kasara were now boyfriend and girlfriend. "They look so cute together, and Jason looks like the spiting image of you," Tommy said. Ino, "Where are you two heading anyways?" said Sasuke. "We are picking up some flowers to put on the monument. Do you two want to come with us?" said Sakura. "Sure, we were just going there to pay our respect," said Ino. They all then pick up some flowers and then head to the monument under the Hokage monument that now had Tsunade and Tommy's faces on it. When they reach it, Tommy and Sakura remember when everyone decided to build the monument in honor of the Zordon and all the Rangers of the past. The monument had the names of all Rangers from the first team to the Dino Thunder team and had a picture of Zordon on it. Tommy and Sakura placed the flowers on the bottom of the monument just like Sasuke and Ino did. Tommy looked at the monument and said, "Thanks for everything, Zordon, and for sending me here." They looked at the inscription and smiled. It said, "In loving memory of Zordon and the Power Rangers," and the bottom said, "Let the power protect you all forever." The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.